Hi, and welcome to the Diablo Podcast, your home for Diablo diehards, tryhards, casual, and hardcore alike. I am your host, Xanth, and the boys are fully back in town, ready to talk D. Uh, Up on the ones and twos, we got Nerdwords
Hello.
and Nineball.
Oh, hi.
And today we're going to do some of our traditional stuff. Then we're going to break it down. We're going to steal from the besties, who on their Patreon do a battle bracket once a month. But they never talk really about Diablo. So we're going to do a specific Diablo battle bracket here today where we try to figure out what is the best Diablo item. But before we get into that, we got some news to cover. We want to talk about some unions, Rod Ferguson's departure that I was correct about, and a new patch and goodies and all that kind of stuff. So, up first, the Diablo team has unionized. We're starting to slowly see the tech industry is woefully behind when it comes to unionization. Um, and one of the things that we've seen a lot the past, I don't know, 5, 6 years is it doesn't matter how a game does, devs get fired. Game does poorly, devs get fired. Game does mediocre, devs get fired. Game does exceedingly well and is critically acclaimed, devs get fired. Perhaps as we start to see more people forming unions, that they have a collective power to maybe stop that so we can stop losing devs and keep getting good games. Thoughts about the unionization, guys?
100%. That's awesome. It's probably what was it when I read about that? I had quoted out. What is the term for when you tweet something on Blue Sky? I have no idea.
I
But
I like
it
BS.
was
I was
the
BSing earlier.
I was BSing. So, um, that was the best Diablo news I had ever heard. So good for the devs going through getting that unionization in. I guess the nice thing is that Microsoft has also voluntarily recognized all of the previous development teams that have unionized. So there's not going to be any pushback or anything from that side. So they should be able to get a contract, signed with Microsoft in short order.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Unionization in general just protects workers' rights. At the end of the day, it's gonna, like you said, help keep good workers and good employees in the industry, and hopefully get them out of the cycle of you know the dread of shareholders and how they dictate our industry. So, yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's awesome. Hopefully, it leads to positive things, and hopefully, we continue to see other teams unionize and gain more ground. No notes, yeah, no negatives. Just sounds awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, good for them. I mean, hopefully the union is strong enough to help push them towards what they want, right? Like that's the true goal. And if that team is able to come together and use that leverage, because when these cuts happen, it's often just this arbitrary process in which people are being let go left, right, and center, and they've got nothing they can do about it. But now with a collective group that says, no, we're not going to, just so you can arbitrarily pump your stock, we can keep a team together. And what leads to good games getting made is cohesion, not a bunch of people coming in left and right trying to fix things or trying to do the job of five people when they are just one. So good on you guys. And I hope it all works out. Let's go to the bigger point is that I was right. Last time we had a lengthy podcast about Rod Ferguson, and we were speculating where's Rod going to go. And I said, well, it's probably Bioshock, because Bioshock was in the news of having a troubled process getting a game out the door. It almost as if like that story was planted to um, lay the groundwork for Rod Ferguson coming in. Now, in tandem with that, there were a bunch of people let go from that studio as Rod is coming in, not necessarily exclusive to that. Like it seems like it was troubled before then, but this sounds a lot like what happened with Diablo, right? Troubled production. People are kind of getting let go left and right. And then Rod comes in with a tighter team and is going to finish the project, right? I would imagine, he had 5 years with Blizzard. I would say we see Bioshock in 3.
Yeah.
Write that one down, guys. Let's see if I'm right on that.
Bioshock in 3.
I will
Bioshock.
I'll set the Siri reminder right now.
Okay, good. I feel pretty confident about that. That seems like a timetable that he wants to work with, right? I'm gonna swing in. I want this to launch by, and like, probably as part of the contract too. We're not gonna bring you in to do a 10-year development cycle when it's already been in the works for what, 7, I think it was. He's not coming in for that. He's coming in to get that game out the door, and I say 3 years is the max. Like they want that. They want that shipped. But we will have to wait. This isn't going to be 2 weeks to find out that I was right. It'll be 3 years, but man, it's going to be worth it. I'm going to be right. I'll set up a PO
I'm
box.
adding a calendar thing right now. So
I'll set up a small PO box for any, congratulatory cards anybody wants to send in 3 years' time. Like, you were right. You could write the card now. Just wait to send it if you have that kind of time. Now, before we go into the patch, last podcast as well, I want to give a sincere thanks to everybody who submitted book recommendations. The comments everywhere were flooded with so many books. And shout out even on Spotify. You guys know you can comment on Spotify.
I had no idea.
Of course you don't. You don't listen, but people out there do. And those are you guys who are listening on Spotify. Thank you. And I don't have my Spotify open right now to check, but somebody recommended my favorite fantasy series, The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. You're the Best. That is like one of the cornerstones of like my fantasy literature upbringing. So good recommendation. I've already read it. I'll probably reread it. I'm slowly trying to get first editions of every book, but all the other ones, they're on a list. I've got a spreadsheet that I'm going down. I'm in the First Law trilogy right now. I finished book 1. I'm waiting for book 2 to come out so that, well, not come out. I'm waiting for book 2 to get to me from the library. People out there, return your library books, please. Like, just be conscious of other people who are waiting. But that I'll every episode I'll give an update. Where's Xanth at in terms of these books, because the list was massive, and I'll give you an update. But so far, First Law trilogy, good. I felt like it took me the first book to care about the characters, and then like by the time it concluded, I was like, all right, now I'm ready for book 2. I would have liked a little bit more in the front end where I'm like, okay, but like by the end, I'm good to go. So I'm excited for book 2. You guys didn't come here for a book talk, though. There's plenty of that. You can probably find all sorts of book podcasts out there. You came for Diablo. So we got a PTR as of late. Lots of new things. But we will probably do a bigger deep dive on all of that because everything is up in the air. I think that's what all of us here are going to be waiting for. What are the real numbers? What are the real changes for this patch? But
because a druid managed to clear a pit 150, and that obviously is not going to stay.
No,
at all.
You can't have that. That's egregious, to say the least. So I'm curious, what are your takeaways from the PTR right now? What are the things that have you most excited for season number 10?
I
I mean,
mean, Hordes continues to be one of my favorite like gameplay loops. So just seeing the revamp, not even like the inclusion of the chaos waves or the new boss, just having like mixed up options, so that way the gameplay can change a little bit more. Hopefully, it's not just press Hellborn, the entire time. So I'm looking forward to that. Is probably the thing that I'm most excited for.
yeah, same. I mean, the big sticking point for season 10 is Infernal Hordes, and it has been the most fun and engaging game system I think since it came out. I think further optimizing that, making it better will be great. I hope that it lands that way. My only concern is that it's kind of not broken right now. I kind of like the way it is. The changes to it seem really cool, and I hopefully they do bring better balance to the different choices you have. I really like the chaos portals; those are really fun. Saw some videos of like the ones that spit out treasure goblins for 2 minutes, and those are insane. Look really cool. But yeah, super excited about it. I mean, again, Infernal Hordes is like Nine said, it's my favorite thing to do in the game. And I think that that's a large swath of the Diablo community. It feels like that is a generally well received game mode. So yeah, I'm excited for it. And just hope it does get better and does not retract at all. As long as we're on that path, I think we'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, Infernal Hordes was probably one of my most played seasons. Remember, it was a short 2 month season prior to the release of the expansion. It was one of those seasons that I went into thinking, like, all right, well, it's a layover season. We're all kind of hyped for what the expansion's going to bring. I'll dive in a little bit. And then there I was playing all the way up until the end of it because I was enjoying it so much. So getting more of that, because it just like the way the game works, by paying attention to one thing, the other one starts to diminish. To get a return back to Infernal Hordes with more options, more creativity, and just spending more time there, and hell, getting to kick Bartuk's ass is always nice. I mean, I've missed that. So those little callbacks are a nice little addition, and looking forward to kind of testing that out. Did any of the chaos powers did that do anything for you guys? Like, we are on, what season of borrowed powers at this point? Was there anything that was standing out?
They're called perks now.
Oh,
They're
sorry,
called
sorry.
They're different.
perks now. They've been formally given a name.
Did any of the perks stand out?
No,
Uh,
no, I couldn't name one of them right now. So I'll make my answer short, sweet, and simple. No, I've not really even. None of them have stuck in my brain at all. So.
as I have mentioned on previous podcasts, what's the point? Because they're going to radically change from the PTR, and they might not even the launch version might not even be the same as the one that's in the patch notes prior to the game. So I will wait and see.
Um, yeah. So the borrowed powers perks, if you will, less than exciting. You know what does have me excited? And I'm curious where you guys are falling on it. Chaos items.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, that one looks really good.
pretty wild shakeup.
It feels like, my big complaint for a lot of Diablo has been that the chase of just needing to find the same thing over and over again, right? I already have this one item that is close to perfect, but it's not perfect. So I need to go find it. And it took me a long time to find it, but now, I'm still chasing the exact same slot. This doesn't completely eliminate that, right? But it does add in a whole bunch of different layers of items I can find that I may not have necessarily thought of. And then that in turn opens up a whole bunch of different other builds and combinations that could be exciting. Like just a little bit more chaos, if you will.
Ah,
That was bad. But a little bit more fun, right? Where it's like, oh, yeah, that isn't ideal, but I can maybe do something with that. Or, okay, I didn't think that would work in a helmet slot, but This is fun. I mean, at this point, all of our character classes are already crowded for helmet slots or weapon slots or something like that. But there's always been a few pieces where it's like, man, if this could just get moved to somewhere else, and now they've done it. Uh, that is probably my peak excitement, as you guys were mentioning before. The being able to go in and do Infernal Hordes, that's going to be exciting. But this just feels like a completely different way to play the character, to play the class. And as you jovially pointed out before, even for a druid to possibly clear pit 100, right? Or pit 150. 100, I guess, in some ways is aspirational for a lot of druids, to be told. But um, yeah, to be able to get to that upper echelon in a way that you never would have thought, or to play something that might have been less than ideal, but is now working. Were there certain things that you were already seeing with chaos items that had really piqued a play style that you hadn't considered?
I think the
I
biggest
haven't.
one for necromancers. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. Go for it.
Okay, I think the biggest one that I had seen for necromancers, and one that I'm not sure will actually make it to live or not, is the lidless wall. Just for the fact of, it's because it's a shield, it's implicit giving the 80% main hand damage, throwing that then onto a non-offhand slot. It just has some really interesting, game-breaking possibilities of being able to ramp up your damage to pretty significant levels just on that alone. You, of course, are now kind of like forced into using something involving Bone Storm, to not lose the aspect slot. But past that, just like it's one of those things where I will sometimes get annoyed when the developers make a item and then throw it into a slot that you can't double dip a skill on, like Hand of Nas. Absolutely beautiful item. I love the playstyle, but like gloves already have you know skeletal mage, and so being able to take that off of the gloves and now having two items that can have skeletal mage mastery sounds interesting.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into like the theory crafting of it all yet, but like you said, like there's so many items that are locked away to specific slots because of their unique quality or their qualities that you kind of have to make some really tough choices, especially as you get later in your progression with a sork. So the idea that that's going to open up as much as it can with that is kind of nuts. The combinations are going to be silly, and I'm more than ever, more than usual, I'm gonna have to lean on a lot of the blasters and the theory crafters to kind of go, okay, here's where this fits really nicely, right? But I think that the idea of playing season 10 with this kind of like open idea of, I'm gonna see what drops and just kind of try to evolve my build to stuff that sounds cool and fun will be super good. But there's gonna be so many combinations that it's gonna require a little bit of blaster research for me to nail down what's
Mm-hmm.
cool. But I just like you said, right? The removing the restrictions of like especially like helmets, um, weapons, offhands for Sworks, all of those slots are super. There's just so many items that are cool. The ability to combine some of those and move them to different spots would be really fun. Really fun.
Yeah. And was anybody else like their first thought on that one is like, oh, I finally have a use for like the boot slot. I can put I can put something offensive in the boots, so that way I can free up like glove temper for an extra offensive, aspect.
Yeah, it's definitely a thought, but offense for the Sork's not really the big problem that we typically have. So I mean, it is to a certain degree, but like single target offense. So it kind of depends on how they attack some of the things. But I know there's a lot of wild changes to the Sork coming in season 10 from a balance perspective, the skills as well. So yeah. So like, there's gonna be a lot of changes, a lot of changes. Watch it just end up being Lightning Spear again.
Well, I mean, there's always a meta, but I feel like by having this element, it does allow for more flexible gameplay for a lot of different styles, and then allows them to scale into a different echelon that they normally would not have been able to. And really, it just comes down to like what I think I've wanted from Diablo for a while is this is the get weird with it. This is the, hey, it's
Mm-hmm.
season 10. Why aren't we doing something different? Why aren't we
Right.
doing a little bit
I
more?
think yeah, though the one thing that I guess to temper my expectations with it a little bit is that it's not as cool as it could be because like how many builds do you have where you look at like besides like your helmet and your chest, because your that one is, air perdition and shroud of false death, of having multiple unique items that you'd like to equip in the same slot, you know like
For
it
Sork, there's
usually you
quite a few. For
okay
Sork, I would say
yeah,
there's quite a few. Yeah,
okay.
especially like when you consider offhands and how many different unique offhands there are that do different things. I mean, there's two for Lightning Spear alone. The ability to move one of those to gloves and still keep the one on your offhand now means you can use both, which is huge. Which is
I
again why
mean,
I'm immediately
yeah.
knowing they're buffing lightning skills that Lightning Spear is probably going to end up being really strong. So
Okay, that's the type of thing that I'm like more looking for in terms of like for the necromancer, because like besides like amulets, there's not a lot there that it's like, oh, I wish I could equip two gloves, type thing. There might be like a couple of things where like I'm glad that I can equip like Black River and still have a weapon temper, by moving that off the weapon itself. But like in Diablo 3, like when they opened up the Kanai's cube to not be like slot restricted, and so that way you could have your cube with just like straight three weapons. Like that was like huge and transformative. That was like really cool, really awesome because you had so many choices for each individual slot that being able to double up on some of them was like really game breaking, game changing. Now, as you just pointed out, could be very different. I don't know if it's not necromancer. I have no idea what's going on. So it could be different. Could be different for some other classes, but I know for like the necro, it's like wasn't as interesting to me. Like it's cool that you have that little tiny bit that you can shove things around and maybe get an extra temper or an extra offensive aspect out of it. And of course, the stat boosts from having the chaos item itself. But it wasn't like one of those ones where something like immediately jumped out at me that it's like, you know, oh, I get to use, both Ingeom, Black Nair, in like uh, shoot, I forgot the um, Poison Nova offhand for, or not Poison Nova, but the Bone Nova offhand for Necromancers in Diablo
can't help
3.
you that
So
one.
stop
Sorry.
there. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Post in the
Yeah, I
comments.
mean, I would imagine for Druid, right? Like the helmet is a slot that's taken up a lot, right? So being able to mix that up would be really strong. So yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about other classes like Nine, right? But I know for Sork, there's some pretty cool ideas and pretty cool options for sure.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to kind of see, and then really, I think what we're waiting for is
Would you say that it'd be transformative for the Druid?
oh, uh, yeah, I think it'll be transformative to say the least. Um, I think like really what it comes down to is now that we've seen the PTR, what changes get made before we can actually react to it, right? You know,
Mhm.
the PTR is there to break everything, and then it gets brought back into line and then broken again, obviously within a week or so, because it doesn't take that long. Because they're just people are going to take what was working and then just see like, okay, how far did it happen to get nerfed? So once we get that, we'll come back and I think we'll dig into more of the meat of it. But I will say for season 10, which was a season that I was maybe a little bit more on the fence. Season of Chaos, like, okay, what's that actually going to be? I think if this was just the Infernal Horde rework, I would play it. I would be fine. But this introduction of the chaos items is really what's going to drive me from, October to January, right? That is a thing that I could definitely foresee. Like it it gives me a reason to want to play other classes, right? Of like, I remember what it was like to play a rogue 2 3 seasons ago. I haven't felt the need to go back because it's kind of been the same, right? I played a Sork the last season because Hydra was different. It was kind of fun to mess around with, but the class itself still felt pretty similar, right? this seems to be enough of a shakeup that I want to go and try all the things, right? And that to me is a good sign. Like that's a good sign of the game of like, yeah, go in, play around, have fun. I'm currently playing Path of Exile 2 right now. They just dropped their most recent season, and I'm seeing builds come, down the Reddit pipeline. I'm just like writing them down, like, oh, I want to try that. I want to try that. I want to try that. And that's what I'm kind of feeling for this season of like, oh, that's a really cool way to play a rogue that I would have never thought or never had seen. I want to do that, or I want to do that with a necro, or I want to do that like that. That's exciting. I want that FOMO of like, oh, I've been playing a druid. Yes, this is new and unique, but that looks really cool. That looks really cool. That looks really cool. So I feel like this season has that potential. We just gonna have to wait and see what the numbers actually do. Speaking of numbers, we're gonna transition. We're gonna transition into what is the first ever Diablo podcast battle bracket, best item in Diablo. Let me break down the rubric. How are we going to judge these items and devise our winner? So our first category, build enhancing. Which item happens to be the most build enhancing? Notice not defining, right? Doesn't need to define the build,
enhancing,
but enhancing. Like you're like, oh, this build is really. Well, we don't want to say like if it was build defining. Like there's so many things that are just build defining. Like oh, I get this build. A lot of Diablo 4 is build defining items, right? Build enhancing. Second category, which is more fun to have and to use. And then our tiebreaker, if we get to this point, which one could we sell for the most real money? Okay. Now, I'm not saying we would use it. I'm not saying we would do that. But if you had to purchase it illegally, what's going to cost you more? Or what could you get more cash for?
What's it going for on the black market? Yeah.
All right. So let's start right up top. From Diablo 2, we've got the Gull Dagger and the Peasant Crown. The Gull Dagger
Ooh.
and the Peasant Crown.
For
This is
that
head to
one,
head, right?
Head to head.
yeah,
Head to head.
right?
Only one
yeah,
wins right now.
The most build enhancing would definitely have to be the Peasant Crown for the plus to skills. The Gold Dagger is nice, but you're just equipping that for Magic Find. That's about it.
Does that in some ways enhance a Magic Find build though? Does that make it better and enhance your ability to go and run Mephisto 10,000 times?
Yes.
None of the qualifiers here are ease of finding, right? Of like commonality.
No, we
right?
don't want
So it's build enhancing, which one's more fun to have and use.
And fun is
the real money
subjective,
implications.
right? Your fun and my fun are different.
Well, I'm with 9 here, and I would say Peasant Crown, not build enhancing. Sure, I think it has more impact to generically every build that could use it because it's +1 to skills. Great starter item before you get a Shaco.
Mhm.
But I also think it's more fun because weapon swap sucks. I hate it. I always hated it. As a sorc, you do it all the time, and so Gold Dagger was great, but typically it was because you were weapon swapping. So having it is awesome, but the weapon swapping fact of it doesn't make it fun to use to me. And I would say that from a real money implication standpoint, I would definitely think the Peasant Crown's worth a little more than
Now keep
than
in
the Gold
mind
Dagger.
that,
So I would say Peasant
that is a tiebreaker. We only need to go there.
That's just tiebreaker.
That is
I
only
still say Peasant Crown.
that is only if if Peasant Crown is checking off, it is the most build enhancing and the most fun right off the gate there. We don't need to go into.
Yep.
Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah, I would say Peasant Crown.
Peasant Crown taking round 1. That was actually pretty quick. That was pretty quick. Okay, let's go to round
We agree.
2.
We'll see how it goes when we don't.
Let's go to round 2. We have the Stone
Okay.
of Jordan, Diablo 2.
Diablo 2 Stone of Jordan. Okay, that's important.
The Ring of Royal Grandeur from Diablo 3.
Oh, come on.
Ooh.
I mean,
This is
I got it.
this is the, you know, the jewelry battle here.
So Stone of Jordan, iconic, absolutely iconic. You're not arguing that.
That is
But
not
in
on the
terms
rubric.
of actual, is not on the rubric. But in terms of like build enhancing as well as fun, it's the Ring of Royal Grandeur by a mile. Like by a mile.
Uh-oh.
The Stone of Jordan, by the time
Uh-oh.
that you go through and you get one, you already have like a whole bunch of plus skills. You know, you have a whole bunch of things like that. Sure, it makes life a little bit easier. You're probably using it to trade other items for and stuff like that, but that's not what it's there for. That's not on the rubric at all. You know, it's kind of like a drop in the bucket in terms of it actually having an effect on your build by the time that you would like get one, unless you do get super lucky and get it on your first, you know, Nightmare Andy kill. But Ring of Royal Grandeur like literally was required in order to make certain builds work. They would not work without it. It was just that one was like a game changer. I
the
my one dig against it in terms of not being fun is fucking having to do a million Act One
yes,
bounties
that's
in order to try
literally
and
so that's
get it.
my counter. So my counter
Uh,
to you, because I
yeah,
would say Stone of Jordan. I would say Stone of Jordan. I would say Stone of Jordan
Uh-oh.
because both are build enhancing, right? If you drop a Stone of Jordan early or a Ring of Royal Grandeur early, they're both going to enhance your build. But you just said it yourself that there were so many builds that were enabled by, not enhanced by necessarily, but like you had to have that Ring of Royal Grandeur. Maybe they required farm item for just about every character, which meant that you were spending all that time doing bounties, and that fucking sucked. And the amount that that sucked is enough for me to take it down a peg. That said, the Stone of Jordan was a lot harder to find, but it also, as a Sork, I also take offense to the fact that like every Sork, especially with the mana that it gave you and the plus the skills and all that, also every class in Diablo 2 used Stone of Jordan. So both were equitable across the board in the sense that everyone used both in both games. I think the SOJ was harder to find, but it was a more pleasant journey. And when you dropped one, oh my god, like you about shit yourself, right? Whereas Ring of Royal Grandeur, you drop one, you're like, oh thank God, I don't have to do this shit anymore, and you just moved on, right?
Now,
So I would say Stone of Jordan
I'm gonna
for sure.
let's add in a little bit of clarity. The act of finding it shouldn't account for it. It's the item itself. Let's just say you're level 20 in either, and you've been gifted this item, right? You didn't have to work for it in either.
SOJ,
Okay.
still SOJ for me. Still SOJ for me.
All right. So let's go back to it. Which one is more build enhancing? Nine ball?
I still say that you know Ring of Royal Grandeur is far more build enhancing
I
than
would say
Stone of
that too.
Jordan.
I would agree.
Stone of Jordan
I would
just
agree
let
with that.
Stone of Jordan lets you do what you're doing a little bit better, but Ring of Royal Grandeur is a transformative experience.
Okay. So we're going to
I
say
think
build enhancing Ring of Royal Grandeur. All right.
absolutely
All right. So now we're going to go with just fun. Like
SOJ,
you've got the
100%.
item. It is complementing your build in all the right ways. Which one are you having more fun now that it's there?
SOJ, I said mine
Still
already.
got to
So.
go. I still have to go with Ring of Royal Grandeur.
Okay, so we're going to leave that as a split here, right?
Yeah.
So then let's talk money. Which one
SOJ,
would cost more?
SOJ, 100%.
Ring of Royal Grandeur was never a tradable item because it didn't exist until Loot 2.0. So
So
the SOJ wins by default.
by the tiebreaker we have devised here.
So does SOJ win by technicality? Because it's got to be SOJ. I mean, to me, it's got to be SOJ.
Look, there are other items. We have.
I mean,
these are going to other rounds.
If it was not for if it was not for the rubric as it was stated, I would be 100% with you. SOJ over Ring of Royal Grandeur, but within the confines of what we're having to do here, it's the Ring
So
of
the
Royal
game is
Grandeur.
fundamentally flawed. Got it. I see. I see.
Look, there's no perfect metric. And what I will point out, guys, is as you're listening and you're disagreeing or whatever it is, that's totally fine. There's probably a bunch of items that got left off of here. We're gonna come back to this again. I think this format is just fun. So sound off with it, anything like as we get through this. If we miss something, we'll bring them back for round 2. Don't worry, they'll come back. Okay, so let's go on to our next battle.
Wait, what did we decide?
Stone of Jordan, default.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
All it needed to do was sell for a penny, and it would be better.
yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Now, as we move into other items, keep in mind form gold and all that kind of stuff as a way to get the items that you wanted. So yeah, Diablo 3 is at a massive disadvantage when it comes to that, though. At one point, you could buy them. So yeah, you're right. Ring of Royal Grandeur is kind of that. It's an item that's iconic, but it's also post no trade Diablo 3. So
And you couldn't even trade it to your friends in the group because your caches were locked to your character, which is a whole other cancer about that fucking ring. But we're not counting that because it's the rubric, so whatever.
All right. Another Diablo 2 battle. Tyrael's Might versus
Diablo 2, okay.
Titan's Revenge.
Oh. I mean, Titan's Revenge, hands down, for me.
So,
I'm not remembering what Titan's Revenge did, but it has to be more than Tyrael's Might.
well, essentially, it's like the epitome of what a Java's.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We're not even going to debate this one.
Yeah,
We're
I would say
going to go Titans
for sure.
Okay, Titans.
Yeah, we're just gonna go Titans. Yeah, because
I mean, Tyrael's was a cool item, but it didn't enhance many builds. It was just a cool find. Most people found it and never used it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, grats, you got a shit ton of armor and some all res.
Bucket list item for sure, but not one.
Oh yeah,
was
but not one that you ever actually used. Yeah,
not typically. Yeah, you'd have to really try to use it for sure.
Okay. Well, we will move past that one. That one was pretty quick. Congratulations, Titan's Revenge.
We are awesome at this. What can I say?
It's going pretty quick. Let's go to the Oculus from Diablo 2 versus the Grandfather from Diablo 1.
Ooh, from Diablo 1. I mean,
yeah, that's right. We're
biased here.
We're doing some heavy cuts now because, like I said, this is franchise, so we got to look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
but just the Diablo 1 Grandfather, not any of the other iterations.
No. I
build enhancing.
I mean,
Oculus takes that for me.
Money, right?
Yeah. Oculus. Yeah, it's Oculus for me.
So
I think I have to. This is like one of those ones where it's like my limited experience with Diablo 1 not actually ever having a grandfather in that game, as I have to, my bias is to Oculus.
Now the two things
I had a grandfather in that game with my warrior, or fighter warrior, I can't remember what it was. Warrior, yeah. And it was very strong. I mean, don't get me wrong, great item, but like by the time you got it, you were already giga typically. I guess that's not part of it. If you found it, it would enhance your fighter's build. And Oculus, you would build a whole Sork if you dropped one of those, right? Just to go do magic find runs for you. Yeah, I would say Oculus for sure.
Okay, seems like Oculus kind of takes this one. Now, what I do want to do is give a quick shout out to the Diablo 1 Grandfather. Rush.
He is listening.
If you could edit in just the image, maybe like right up here, of the Diablo 1 Grandfather. It makes no sense, but it's a katana, and it looks so cool. It is like the coolest version, and then like every other version of the Grandfather just becomes this big old sword, but that one was a katana for no apparent reason other than it looked cool. And I think the D1 devs were watching a lot of Highlander, and it looked awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
And
sure.
Looks are not actually on this rubric, but if it was, Grandfather would win this whole thing because it just looked.
Nah, Oculus
cool.
was still cooler looking too.
Do yourself a favor, look at that sword, and then look at the Oculus.
Can we talk about Diablo 2 has won every contest so far? By the way, It's all Diablo 2 items right now.
Yeah,
In our winners
No,
bracket.
yeah.
it's going to be tough because I mean, when we talk about like what is iconic about the Diablo franchise, the items from Diablo 2 were such a big part of it, and like the like they've really set the foundation for every ARPG going forward. I would love to see more make this list from a Diablo 3 or Diablo 4. I just don't think they're there yet. Um, and maybe that's something, like in some ways that's a small critique, but we will see. We'll see down the road what transpires. Let's go to a Diablo 3 item.
Mm.
We have the furnace from Diablo 3 versus Wind Force from Diablo 2.
I mean, I have my answer.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you slow your roll a little bit? You're rushing. You're going through a little too quick. Let's talk.
It's easy. This is easy for me.
Let's talk
Go ahead.
build enhancing. So which one of these two, the furnace or wind force, seems the most build enhancing?
See, defining build enhancing is the challenge because Furnace just became locked for every single class in Diablo 3 once the Kanai's Cube unlocked, right? So for me, it is a little unfair to say that it is build enhancing in the sense that it became mandatory. Whereas Wind Force, you drop that, that's a whole build out of that bow, right?
Isn't that more build
Um,
enabling than enhancing?
well, we said the same thing about the Ring of Royal Grandeur earlier, though, too, right? So
Yeah, and you
I
argued
don't know.
against the Ring of Royal Grandeur, so
Look,
I
I'm
did,
just here to
I
kind of
did.
keep it
Aha.
going. All
Yeah.
right.
But my point is though is that I don't find so build enhancing. Which one enhances your build more? I mean, I guess furnace because it just does 50% more.
That's
So furnace,
that
sure.
that enhances a
I mean,
lot, right?
it's one of those ones where it's like the Wind Force is again iconic, but since that's not what we're rating, I'm gonna go with the furnace.
Look at that. Diablo 3 takes a category.
Yeah.
It's finally happened, guys. We did it. I found the one that we could choose.
I don't agree, but I'll succeed or secede. So whatever.
You
I don't agree. Wind Force to me is like one of my favorite items
you
in Diablo 2, so I'm partial as hell.
you
I'm
have to
sorry.
respect the rubric. Okay, let's move to
I do. I am. I'm
fun.
writing
It
down.
also is one of those ones like it is like one of the iconic weapons like the
Right.
grandfather from D1.
It feels shitty for it to be ousted by the fucking furnace. Is all I'm saying. But
Yeah.
we'll take it.
Furnace was a hell of a weapon, though.
No, it wasn't. It was trash. It was so
but
stupid. Anyway,
it did its job.
I guess so. Yeah.
So let's talk about fun though. You get both of these items. What are you going to have more fun
Wind Force
with?
is way more fun. Wind Force.
Wind
Sure.
Force is definitely going to be more fun than the furnace in that respect.
Okay, so now we have a tie, so it means we do have to go to the tiebreaker. Now, both
And
of
the
these
furnace was
items.
never sellable.
Wasn't furnace you could sell it on the AH, or did that come
Initially,
in?
initially off the onset when the
Yeah.
AH existed, you could.
So
but it
And
also
it was very
wasn't
valuable too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Because it was. I mean, especially like early. I mean, I'm gonna double check real quick, but I'm pretty sure early furnace. I'm looking. Hang on. I don't know. I'm less confident now.
Because I
don't
remember the furnace, like I want to say that it didn't have that massive bonus to the elite damage until after the item reworks.
Yeah, you might be right. The timeline for me is what's a little wobbly, but the Wind Force is also hella cheap. Like it is not expensive if you wanted to buy that for real. It's not a very expensive item.
Are we saying that the furnace would win?
Oh man.
Diablo Podcast
Yeah,
hot
the
take.
pre
Furnace is better than Wind
the
Force.
pre Reaper item was a chance to deal 6 to 8% of the victim's current life as fire damage.
So it wasn't good then.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that great of an item because I remember that it was like one of those ones because specifically it went from like a useless item to
To a really good
everybody
one.
wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
So I
that, but I
guess
couldn't remember when that happened.
yeah. So technically it was tradable, and sellable in the AH, but I don't
It
think that
wasn't
it
good though.
wasn't terribly valuable.
But
You know,
is it? Was it? No, because it was more useless. Yeah, I mean, so that would that put Windforce then, right? Build enhancing furnace, more fun, Windforce unanimously.
Yeah.
Real money, Windforce.
I mean,
maybe it's not like the Windforce is really all that expensive in terms of real money
It's
either.
not. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
could we then maybe, for the sake of change here, pretend you could pay somebody to farm the item for you? Like, what would that cost by comparison? Because
Furnace would
At
take a
that
lot
point,
longer. Or yeah, furnace would be fast to farm.
yeah, furnace would be hella fast to farm.
So
Super fast. Yeah.
But because the current state of the game is designed around you not being able to trade for it.
right. So you would have to,
Yeah.
we'd have to pay somebody to do that for us.
But
Not
you
that
could
we're
queue up
advocating for it.
maces and get that so
Yeah.
fast. So
Yep.
Wind
'cause I did that.
Force?
Windforce
I think it's still the harder
on
find.
yeah, on the technicality.
Okay, we're gonna give it to Wind
On
Force.
the technicality.
I want to
Yeah.
say
With an
we were
asterisk.
very close
Yeah.
to saying Furnace was better than Wind Force. Get ready for the
Hey,
pitchforks, guys.
don't you dare say we.
And yet you were almost there.
And yet I'm checking the notes that the fun item won unanimously as the furnace.
mm,
Or the
What?
sorry, not the build enhancing was the furnace.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
okay.
my Jabazon picked up a Windforce, and that's kind of not useful. But anyone picks up a Furnace, they can do 50% more damage. That's No, you're not wrong.
That sounds kind of fun.
No, it wasn't.
Sounds kind of fun.
Number go up is not fun.
Okay. Let's take it old school here. Godly Plate of the Whale
Oh, I mean,
versus
okay.
Shaco.
Ooh, Diablo 2 Shaco.
Yep.
Well,
man.
Shaco is just like an elite helm with no stats.
Uber
on
build
it, so.
enhancement. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Are
mean,
we talking about the Harlequin's crest?
Yeah, the Harlequin crest, but we've all
Yeah.
just called it Shaco at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's just specifically because it wasn't referred to as a Shaco in Diablo 1, so
Right.
we are talking about the Diablo 2 one. Yeah.
We are talking about the Diablo 2 Harlequin crest or Shaco. So let's start with build enhancing. Godly Plate of the Whale
Shaco.
or Shaco?
It's Shaco. It's
Shaco.
Shaco.
100%.
Wow.
It's 100% Shaco. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Which one is more fun?
Shaco.
Shaco.
Okay.
Shaco.
Godly Plate of the Whale bounced off this list real quick.
I mean,
the vast majority
mention,
of Godly Plate. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, like, notable mention. It's still an amazing item. It was up against tough competition. That's not its fault. Shaco's probably Shaco could win the whole thing easy.
And this is coming from a conversation that happened prior to the recording of the show, but the Godly Plate of the Whale was only obtainable through gambling. And that the vast majority of Godly Plates of the Whale that you saw on BattleNet were hacked items because it could not drop for monsters.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I gambled like 40 of them. I never hacked. I don't know what you're totally legitimately.
Sure. I believe you.
Yeah. Now, as you guys, we've been doing this a while, and I didn't tell Nerdwords about it beforehand. The one thing we're not including in this list are any items that are made via rune words. So Enigma is probably the most noticeable one that is going to be missing from this list, because rune words are this different thing, right? Completely different beast that aren't droppable items per se. We're just looking at items that you can drop and slot into a build, not things that you would need to put pieces together to make happen. So Enigma's not going to be here. That could be a conversation for a different time when we can include rune words, but today is not that day. Okay. Congratulations to Shako. Let's move on. String of Ears. Diablo 2.
Which one?
Diablo 2.
Okay.
There was a lot of little. Is there a different one you want? Do you want the D3? Do you want?
No, all the rest of them are trash. I was
Yeah.
just curious if you were talking about the Diablo 3 one.
No, it's the D2
The
one.
Diablo 3 one was pretty decent.
It had uses
It had
for
its
sure,
moments.
but
Yeah.
Versus Convention of Elements from Diablo 3.
I think I have to go with Convention of Elements.
So hold on.
I think I have to agree.
Hold your horses. Build enhancing.
Oh my
Respect
gosh.
the rubric.
String of Ears was build enhancing if you were an Uber Paladin and happened to find one. Otherwise, you found one and then made an Uber Paladin to wear it. So I would say it's not very build enhancing, whereas the Convention of Elements made every build better for every class and was required like the Furnace. Also why I don't love it, but I do think that the Convention of Elements, skipping ahead, because I know we were going next, was more fun to use as well too.
Yeah. And especially as, me playing a necromancer, where like even though that the Convention of Elements fell off for a lot of classes, the further into the the updates that we'd gotten with Diablo 3, Convention of Elements was always like one of those ones that was like one of the last pieces that you dropped on the necro, and it took a while just because we had that smaller element window because we had fewer elements to mess around with. That just made the item like so much more powerful. But it was one of those ones that was just great in terms of fun because it was an item that actually allowed you to have like some form of skill expression of being able to pop your skills, time your skills within the right windows and such, in order instead of just mindlessly like clicking your button when things came off of cooldown.
Yeah, it created kind of a rotational vibe. Like as a wizard, like as an Archon wizard that was running a Lightning Archon, you'd time it since you got the most out of your convention cycle when you went into Archon, or later with the Taurash's build, opened up every element. So you're kind of like, I'm going to do this element on this, whatever. So I wowould definitely say Convention of Elements for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations to Convention of Elements, the only Diablo 3 item that's going to carry on to the next round. And that's going to eliminate our head-to-head battles. All right. Kind of cleared our gauntlet here. Now I know there's going to be some discrepancies. There's probably a few things that got missed along the way. But remaining, we have Stone of Jordan, Peasant Crown, Wind Force, Oculus, Titan's Revenge, Shako, and Convention of Elements. So let's mix these up.
Which one gets the buy round? Because there's a buy round. There's only 7.
Oh yeah,
so
don't
we
worry.
should have a buy round here.
We're gonna give Shako the buy.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
That's fair.
Yeah, that checks.
Let's do. Let's do a battle of plus skills. Stone of Jordan and Peasant's Crown.
Stone of Jordan.
Yeah, that's not even I don't think we need to debate that one. Yeah, that was pretty simple.
No.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like Peasant's Crown, you're really only taking early levels because of the +1 to skills. Stone of Jordan does that plus more, and you're a lot
there's
more.
a rune word that does what Peasant Crown does, but better at much earlier and much easier to find much earlier levels. Yeah, that doesn't count for our rubric. Sorry. Stone of Jordan enhances builds better and is more fun to have and use.
Yes, that is correct. And probably sells for more.
Sorry.
It probably does.
I'm breaking the game. I apologize.
Okay.
Metagaming a bit.
Let's do Oculus and Wind Force.
Oh, I mean, I know what I would say. I would say build enhance Oculus for sure.
I agree. Oculus. Yeah.
And more fun Oculus because it's amazing item. Amazing item.
You would, because Oculus is the type of thing that you would want to build something around, and Wind Force was just like a neat drop that had some fond memories from Diablo 1.
Yeah, but wasn't even the best for its respective build. Right, it was great. It's a cool item, but it wasn't even its best for. Whereas like Oculus was something you could use into the end game with a wizard or a sorcerer if you really wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, Windforce.
that leaves us with Titan's Revenge and Convention of Elements.
I had to look up Titan's Revenge, so I'm going with Convention of Elements.
I'm going to say
you know?
Convention too. I love Titan's Revenge, but I
Yeah,
think Convention was more applicable for enhancing more builds.
yeah.
And I would say it was also more fun. Titan's Revenge is good, but you could also grab yellow, fucking
That's true.
javelins you got from Charcy in Act 1, and they would be just as good as Titan's Revenge as long as they could replenish.
Right.
But Convention, that was something you were hunting a great one of those for your entire season most times in Diablo 3, and again was very fun to use too. So I would say I think Convention did the most for making Diablo 3 fun for me. So Convention for sure.
Okay.
Yep, agreed.
So our top four, we've got the Stone of Jordan, Oculus, Shaco, Convention of Elements.
I mean, this is a crazy list.
So let's break it down. Stone of Jordan versus Oculus.
Ooh.
Yeah. That silence you hear is contemplation.
I'm
Because
dumbfounded right
while
now.
they've been breezing through most of this list now they got to think a little bit. What's it going to be? So let's what is build enhancing? What is the more build enhancing item of these two?
The Oculus helped refund mana, right?
Yeah, it also had the chance to teleport you to a random spot when you got hit.
Yeah, because it's like it's because it's like
I'm
they
looking
they
it up again to
both.
make sure I'm not forgetting stuff.
It's like because they both. Yeah, I just pulled it up myself. Yeah, they're both giving you
All
bonuses to skills,
resist,
making you more
faster cast rate,
powerful. Yeah,
magic fires.
5 mana after every kill, so it does the same thing that Stone of Jordan does of increasing your mana pool so that way you can not care about it. Faster cast rate, yeah. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
but
it's the Oculus.
Stone of Jordan also increased your gave you 25% mana, so it was
Yeah,
huge for
25%.
energy
It's
shield builds.
yeah. Oh, that's
But
true.
that was
That's true.
also a niche. That was also a niche element of certain builds, right? So like I would say
Um,
build enhancing, both enhanced builds at a high level. I would say Oculus probably does it earlier, quicker, and for more builds than Stone of Jordan does.
yeah.
But Stone of Jordan works across everything: barbs, paladins, druids, assassins, everything. That's tough.
Mhm.
That's tough.
So a
I
Sork
say,
might say
can we?
Oculus is better, but all the
I don't
other
know that's the truth
classes.
because again, like even Oculus, like there are so many options for wand that are great. Oculus is good, but it's not even like a top 5 option. End game, mid game, it's pretty good, but like I mean, a gold dagger, honestly, if your stats are good enough, you're gonna use a gold dagger over an Oculus.
Goldacre was
So I don't know.
eliminated in round one, so
I know, but that's my point is that like
Well,
if you didn't expressly need the castrator all res, um, whereas SOJ was irreplaceable end game, like nothing beat it. Um, I don't know. 9. I'm kind of on the fence on this. I could go either way. I'm leaning on you on
I
this.
I have to say the Oculus.
Okay, I'll go
I have
Oculus too.
to. I
Yeah,
yeah, I honestly have to say the Oculus.
rip SOJ, but
wow.
yeah, I think it's fair. I could have
Okay.
gone either way, but Oculus I think is more
I mean,
impactful.
if
They're both
if
fun,
because
but
I mean
Oculus is more
again,
fun.
yeah, it's like one of those ones where it's like if we wanted to talk about like the iconic nature, of the item, which one do we remember the stats offhand without having to look up, an old Wikipedia page on it? It would be the Stone of Jordan, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, I think in terms of the uh, stipulations for the engagement, I have to go with the Oculus in terms
Yeah.
of both like build enhancing in terms of fun.
All right,
Yeah, I could have gone
congratulations.
either way on it. So yeah,
Congratulations to
man.
Oculus making it to the final round. Uh Now, before we get to the finals, we still have Shaco versus Convention
Hmm.
of Elements.
Which is wild again. What a
Here we are.
wild competition. Shaco versus convention. I mean, build enhancing. You drop a Shaco, it makes every build better.
Yeah.
Convention of elements. You drop a convention, it makes every build better.
Hmm. So it's a tie.
And I think it makes it more better. No, I would say convention makes it more better.
I agree that convention would make your build far more better than adding a Shaco to whatever build it was that you were running.
Okay, so we're gonna say convention. Then which one is more fun?
I still would
It's
say convention.
Oh
I
It's
would say
no.
convention.
convention, yeah. And
It changes the
I
way you play. It changes
I
the way
could
you
it
play
does.
and gives you rewarding feedback for adapting your playstyle.
And I said that during the last bracket too, that it literally was like one of the most fun things about Diablo 2 for me. So
Yeah,
as much as I hate to say it, and I could feel the blasphemy spilling from my mouth, I think
it's
Shaco
a
gets
difficult thing.
taken down by convention. I
Yeah.
think it's convention. Yeah.
Okay.
If you would not have this rubric and you would have asked me like the most iconic like Diablo items, Shaco is one of
Shaco.
them. Stone of
Right there.
Jordan is
Stone of
one of them.
Jordan's there. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, exactly. That's exactly what I was
It
thinking.
is funny going through and as we were talking in the pre-show that I had remembered it's like, oh yeah, convention of elements, yeah, that was a thing, that was definitely a thing, and now here I am, and I already know what my vote for the next round is.
This
I
is
do too.
dangerous.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I already
congratulations
know too.
to
We're
Yeah.
convention
metagaming a little bit here.
For
of
metagaming,
elements,
yeah.
which brings us to
I
the
like it.
final round. It will be Oculus versus Convention of Elements.
I would even say that convention of elements, even if we had voted the other direction and gotten Stone of Jordan to put it just 2 rings into this round, I would still be going for convention of elements.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yep, convention.
So
It's not even
It's just
close.
this is one of those things that we talked about on previous podcasts about transformative gameplay experiences.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like how one item can actually like change how you play the game, type thing. And it's just like, yeah. And hey, it also got created by a whole bunch of fans too. This was something that they developed at BlizzCon.
that is
So
true.
Oh, that's true.
yeah,
No,
So
this was a community made item.
And look again, no shade. Again, as a lifelong sorceress player,
Yeah.
there's a part of my soul that breaks whenever I choose something, anything over Oculus, because Oculus is such an iconic, amazing item. If I was ever going to cosplay as a wizard or a sorcerer, I would make some sort of replica of the Oculus because it just looks badass too. It's just amazing, such a cool item. But yeah, Convention of Elements was a wild, legendary ring that just had so much power and so much fun in it with the cycles and how it worked. And yeah, at convention, 100%.
So
Did not expect that today.
the winner of the best Diablo item from the Diablo podcast is Convention of Elements from
We're gonna get drugged
Diablo
so hard for that.
3. And I'm going to go back to the rubric in which we said build enhancing, fun, and then real world money. Which one would fetch a higher price? Congratulations, Convention of Elements. Now, obviously, I think anybody listening is going to vehemently disagree. That's totally fine. The fun part about all of this is you can make your own rubric and decide which one wins on that because we are professional opinion havers, and that is it. This isn't law. This doesn't change anything. It was just fun. And the next battle. Now, when we record this, I don't know. But the next battle is going to be best Diablo skill. So if you have a favorite Diablo skill from across the franchise that you want to be included in our next bracket, drop that in the comments and I will start working them up. And it'll probably end up being a longer bracket because we'll have, I would imagine, more. But here's the caveat. If you're going to drop a skill, please don't just write whatever the skill is. Give me a brief description of why it should make the cut. And then I'm going to roll with it. Okay. So that will be our next bracket. Probably not for another couple episodes, but this was fun.
I already know the winner.
I'm telling you this now. I have a hill to die on already.
I'm ready.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
I got a hill to die on too. shit. I think I know which skill will win already, without even knowing what you choose. I don't even know what you're gonna choose. Maybe you leave this off. I won't say it. So
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what the stipulation for
Although
how we even
there will be a
decide what the best
rubric.
oh yeah,
skill
I don't
is.
know your
Yeah,
bullshit
yeah.
rubric either. So
That's
yeah, I gotta
right.
learn that too. In the confines of Zan's game.
That's true. There will be a rubric that nobody knows until you show up. And that's how you end up with
Yep.
convention of elements, guys, is the rubric.
That's
Who knows? Who knows
yeah.
what it will be? In the meantime, let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo, moo.
Moo, 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 moo.
Moo, moo.
Moo.